Would drugs really make sports fair? Allowing drugs in sports to even the playing field is a ludicrous idea. Why? Naturally, I feel that allowing drugs in sports will 1. Put players' lives on high risk, 2. Set an awful example for children and young adults. Finally, even if drugs are legalized in sports, there will always be players with more money and resources. I'm going to present my views on these reasons. To begin with, drugs in sports presents countless of health risks to the athletes. The common drug EPO or blood doping is where athletes increase the number of red blood cells in the bloodstream. According to the World Anti-Doping Agency, use of EPO can cause blood thickening, heart diseases, stroke, cerebral and pulmonary embolism. Some danger comes from using human growth hormones such as diabetes, muscle, joint and bone pain, abnormal growth of organs, among other things, and in worst cases, death. Now, think about the parents, partners, and friends of these athletes. Would you let your son or daughter do drugs? Would you let your husband or wife do drugs? Would you let your friends do drugs? Risk their health for what? Winning? Is death worth the win? Put yourself in the athlete's shoes. Is it worth the suffering, the pain, the hell that you will put your loved ones through just to win? I don't think so. Another point I'd like to make is that allowing drugs in sports will set a horrible example for the future of our nation. According to betterhealth.vic.gov.au, 6 in 10 Australian children under the age of 14 participates in sports. Obviously, if they participate, they have players they look up to. And if these players do drugs, what would the children think? Oh, if my idol do drugs, then it's okay if I do too. What would happen if 6 in 10 kids had that exact thought? Catastrophe! Tragedy! And it's not like we can just stop paying attention to sports. Sports is our culture. It's what makes us Australians. Quitting cold turkey will only bring insanity. Do you want to be part of insanity? No. Do I want to be part of catastrophe and tragedy? God forbid not. However, if drugs in sports is legalized, then catastrophe, tragedy, and insanity will be the endgame. Although, some people may argue that we are just wasting money on creating drug tests when someone will always find a way around it. Well, according to an article from the Herald Sun on October 14 of 2012, it took millions of dollars and several years to create a test for EPO, and about 5 minutes for Dr. Ferrari to find a way to evade it. Yes, this is true, but allowing drugs in sports to even the playing field would only cause more unfairness than people would think. But why, you ask? The reason is money. There will always be richer, more famous athletes who have better sponsors. Let's put this to the test. Roger Federer is sponsored by Gillette, Lindt, Mercedes-Benz, National Swiss, Rolex, and Wilson. Meanwhile, Bernard Tomic is sponsored by Nike, Medibank, Optus, and ING. Companies people outside of Australia have never heard of. Now, if they are ever to legalize drugs in sports, who do you think will have the money to buy the high-quality stuff? Who will hire the physicians to assist them with the drugs? The rich, that's who. So whether or not they legalize drugs, it will still be unfair. There will always be richer, elite, and more famous athletes who can afford the expensive and the better. So drugs will just be useless. In conclusion, drugs in sports are risky, dangerous, and deadly. It's a bad influence on the future of our country, and it most definitely won't bring fairness. I say that allowing drugs in sports to even the playing field is a ludicrous idea. Athletes should not have to play Russian roulette with their lives in order to win.